Morning, everybody. Hello, welcome to AI for the Average Joe. I think we're on episode 7 now, if that's right. Haley, I'm not too
I,
sure. I'm a
I
bit
don't
lost
know. We should
now.
have prepared that before, probably.
So we've had some really amazing guests on the podcast series so far, and we've had some fantastic feedback from those guests as well. And we've got another amazing guest joining us today. So I'm going to hand over very shortly to Dan, who is the AI educator. We've spent a lot of time talking about text-based generative AI so far, particularly ChatGPT. We've talked a lot about Bard, and we started to explore more imagery type generative AI in our last episode with Brad Stacey from Mission Group, and we're going to continue that today. And I'm going to hand over to Dan, who is a bit of a MidJourney expert. Who's going to take us through what MidJourney is and some of the stuff that he's been doing in this space, and of course leave you with the practical tip as we do every episode. So hey Dan, how are you?
Hi, Erica. I'm very well, thank you. Thanks for having me on, and thanks, Haley.
Very
It's great
welcome.
to have you here. It's fantastic. I know you've been super busy, particularly in the US and going over to the Emirates and stuff like that. So tell us a bit about yourself and tell us, what AI means to you. Maybe give us a bit of insight into what you've been doing mid-journey. And it'll be great for our audience to learn some stuff around that today.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a trained high school teacher. So I was in a high school for a few years, then on the SLT of a high school in the north of England. And then I decided I wanted to go fully into the tech space. So kind of every school I'd worked in, I'd tried to move them over to an ed tech system, usually Google for Education, and get them really kind of innovating with that. So, and I decided after a few years in the high school in SLT that I wanted to do that full time. So then I worked in a group of colleges here in the northeast of England, called EPNE, and it was we had 12,000 students, 1,000 members of staff, and I became the director for digital strategy. So it was my job to kind of upskill staff, students in digital
Yep.
skills, but then also kind of look outward, as in terms of innovation. And we invested quite a bit in virtual reality, and we were looking at in artificial intelligence as well. This was kind of pre ChatGPT days. And we were kind of exploring where that technology was going to go, how we could start to utilize it. And then kind of ChatGPT came along, kind of put that user interface onto these large language models that had been around a few years, but the average kind of consumer had never really got to play with. And I suppose the rest is history, really. I mean, you've turned the television on and you're going to see a new story about AI, probably ChatGPT on a daily basis at the moment. So I noticed very early on, back end of last year to 2022, that from an education point of view, nobody was really talking about it on social media, where a lot of teachers get their PD from, I guess. And so started posting some good news stories, really, of look at what it can do for workload, how it can help you plan, and kind of went from there. And yeah, so now I've left my job because as you can imagine, there's a lot of demand for this type of work, and now I'm in such a lucky, privileged position that I get to travel the world and help schools, colleges, universities not just upskill their staff with AI, explore AI, but strategize around the future of new technologies of AI and put strategies in place as well. So yeah, that's what I'm doing at the moment, and I get to speak to amazing people like you about AI.
It's
There's no better
awesome.
job.
It's awesome stuff, Dan. And actually, just listening to you, you're really sort of touching on some of my passions there around bringing some of this into education, because I think there's just such a gap, isn't there, for that. This is what we do. This is what I've done every year for my teaching career. This is what works against the curriculum. And to actually lift out of that and say, yeah, but this is out there and you don't have to be frightened of it, because we're here to work together on how we can get through this to use it to your advantage. People are feeling a bit, oh, I don't know if we want to encourage the use of it. Have you noticed that in working with schools, people are maybe a bit reluctant to use it because they're maybe slightly fearful of it or what it means for them?
Yeah, I think if someone books me to come into their school, the chances are they're quite open to it. So I
Yeah,
don't see
true.
that all that often, but I do hear about it, and I think just the lack of, I think what worries me at the moment, because I'm from a working class background, council estate in the northeast of England, and I spend probably 90% of my time in private independent schools because they're the ones who want to explore this, and I kind of
Yeah.
naturally go, well, what about the state schools? What about the schools out there that really really need this to help them and to reduce their workload because they don't have the time, the resources,
It's that
the
digital
staff, the
poverty
money.
thing again,
It
isn't it?
is.
It's like the widening gap, which we've got to be aware of, I suppose.
Absolutely, and COVID
Mm,
shone a big light on that, didn't
Mm.
it? The fact that
yeah.
between those who had the skills and the technology versus those who didn't. And I was in a high school at the time, and we were seeing students who had the devices and the skills actually learn more than they probably would have learned if they'd been in the school building, and those who didn't pretty much missed 2 years of learning.
Wow.
And I think that's the problem with AI. So I know we weren't going to go down like the ethical route, but I think you've highlighted it, and I think it's a really big issue that this could widen that gap even further. And that's why with everything I do, I always emphasize that what we're doing here, we have to do it with intent, and we have to do it with a shared intent as well. And when I work with leaders, I'm like, you've got to collaborate. You've got to, not just with the other MAT leaders or the other leaders in your area in education, but with industries, with local government, with other educational sectors. Got to collaborate on this. Otherwise, it's going too fast, and we're not going to be able to catch up if we
Yeah.
don't.
And just before we came on to the podcast today, Erica and I have both been watching your MidJourney demo video, which is just it just touches on everything you're saying. You can see that this is a video which could really align anyone from any background. It's simple, it's straightforward, it's step by step, and you've given away some really, really useful tips and tools in there that I think will help to get people off the mark. We were talking about just setting up a MidJourney account, weren't we, Erica? We got to a point where we just thought, oh, I don't know, I don't understand
Oh, it's
this.
just too difficult.
Yeah. And then Dan's video came along and it's like, oh, okay. And it took about 30 seconds, I think, this morning to get that
Yeah.
done. So it'd be great to hear a bit more from that perspective, Dan, in because obviously the work you're trying to do is to bring everyone onto that same page. And I think you're doing a great job with some of the stuff that you're starting to pull together and that content.
Yeah, I suppose yeah, I always talk about MidJourney in my talks, and because I always like to show, especially in my keynotes, I kind of like to take people on a journey of, look, this is where the technology's come from, this is how it started, and this is where it's going, and get into kind of the more dynamic examples than just the ChatGPT. But I really think if we're using a tool like ChatGPT, Google Bard, whatever we're using, if we're using it in a way that really helps us save time, which I absolutely believe it can do in a massive way, then what do we do with that time we've got back? Well, we obviously spend it with the family, spend it with friends. But if it's saving you time actually when you at work, then actually I think we've got a duty to kind of to make our learning design more engaging, and to make it more interactive and dynamic. And I think one of the ways you can do that is with a tool like MidJourney. So I think teachers are just used to going to Google Images, going to Pixabay, somewhere where they can find stock images, downloading an image, using it. But actually, we're always wedging content in, aren't we? Because we don't have bespoke content out there. We're always like YouTube videos as well. We're wedging content into kind of what we want to get out of it. But AI now allows us, because it's democratized creativity in a big way. Now that anybody without any real technical skills like myself can actually go and create or generate with AI a bit of art, and a bit of art that could be more bespoke to the point I'm trying to get across within my learning design for my students. So I was aware that I do a lot around ChatGPT and helping teachers with that, and I was always aware that I'd never shown people how to get started with MidJourney. And it's a bit of it, like you say, it's a bit of a tricky process, because let's be honest, if you've ever used ChatGPT, if you've ever used some of these tools, they're still prototypes. They were literally just released a few months ago. And because they've taken off in such a big way, the companies are trying to catch up. They don't have fully working platforms yet. It was a bunch of people who made a prototype. And MidJourney is the same. So MidJourney is it's a bot within Discord. Now, I know that's probably not going to mean anything to 99% of people, but Discord is essentially an app or a web platform, a website where you can create chat rooms, essentially, in a basic way to put it. And it's used by the gaming community quite a bit. And you essentially, when you type into that chat room, you can have different bots in there. So the bots can do different things like automate different processes. If someone types something in, it then gives them a resource. So it's a bit of an automation type thing. So what the guys at MidJourney did was they created a bot to go into Discord. So when you type into the chat the type of image you want to be created, the bot jumps in and uses, I mean, it's amazing. I mean, as you two know, amazing technology. It's more, I mean, you can go to Canva, you can use the text to image tool in Canva, amazing. Dolly by OpenAI, amazing, but nothing has got touches MidJourney in terms of the detail, the quality of the images. And you do have to pay for it. I think it's about $10 a month. But if I'd really recommend just getting it for 1 month and just playing around with it and saying, if you're going to use it long term, then you can renew every month. That's what I do. So have a play around with it. I've got that tutorial video, like you say.
Yeah, brilliant. Such a step-by-step, good, easy video for people to follow. Where can people find that video? Because we've talked about it a couple of times now. It'd be great to give them a bit of a signpost. Yeah, so it's on my YouTube channel. And you know what? I'm just starting to build up my YouTube side of things, so I don't actually know the name of my channel.
We can link it into this post, can't we?
Oh, it's at @the_AI_educator.
There you go. So we'll stick it on the link so people can click on it and find it. Yeah, great.
Thank you. There's loads of videos on there as well. But I think what excites me about MidJourney isn't just MidJourney as an end in itself, like you can go and create an image. But it's then for those who've been in the edtech world for a while, it's what normally called app smashing, where you take different apps and you create something that you couldn't have created with just one app. So I've got tutorials about how you can take a MidJourney image, you can get a script from ChatGPT. So I created Henry VIII, where we created Henry VIII in MidJourney. We got ChatGPT to be Henry VIII just by asking it, and you can do that. We took the script, we put it into an AI tool called play.ht, which created a voice. Then we took the image, the voice file, uploaded it to a tool called D-ID, and it turned it into a fully animated video of Henry VIII talking. That was all done in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And the only skills needed were copy and paste, logging into 4 different websites, and being able to click upload and download. Literally the only skills needed. And that's not just because I'm into tech. I have teachers every day telling me that it takes them 5 minutes to do this. That you can create a full interactive resource where the students can get to know the characters. So it's not just for a typical English class, history class, it's the teacher reading about about Romeo and Juliet. It's the teacher.
I was going to say Shakespeare, perfect example for English literature. I remember doing English Lit A level, and you read the text, don't you? And you all have a go at reading it out, and then you analyse, what does Shakespeare mean when he said that? Imagine having Shakespeare talking to you, saying, "This is what I meant when I said that," and oh my god,
100%,
really, really impactful. And like you said earlier, Dan, at the moment we might go to YouTube to find a video that kind of fits the point, and we're wedging stuff in. So to create something that absolutely nails the point is really impactful, isn't it? That's a great opportunity. And in education as well as corporate L&D, apprenticeships, it's just
amazing. I mean, using ChatGPT already, it's really easy. You can do this in the free account, just to start, you tell it that you want it to play a certain role, and you can role play with it and get it to ask you questions, and then you can respond, and then it responds to your response. And anyone could just log on to do that. And then you bring MidJourney in for the graphical side of it. It's just a no-brainer, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that role side of things, I think that's a good practice anyway. So I've got a framework for how to write a good prompt in ChatGPT or Googlebot, and it's called the prep model. And the R within the prep model is role. So you might not want to be Henry VIII, but if you're creating let's say you're a biology teacher creating a resource, you might ask it to be a specialist in photosynthesis and so on with these skills. But it just helps if you think ChatGPT, the free version, this is just the free version, was trained on over 300 billion words worth of information. Okay, if you were to read that at the average rate people read a book, it would take you about 2,800 years to read that amount of information.
Wow.
ChatGPT 4, which is the paid
Wow.
version, it would take you 7,000 years to read that much, and the information's got instant access to. So it just helps you narrow it down a bit. So it's going out there, it's making these connections because it's designed to be like the brain. It makes connections. And you're just helping it to focus. It's like having a student. I say, like, the people who should be able to use this technology the best are teachers, because it's teachers' bread and butter to ask a specific type of question in a specific type of way to elicit a certain type of response. That's all you're doing with these tools. And we have toolboxes to do this. So teachers, for example, model how they want an answer to be from a student. So they'll do, when I was teaching, we had there was a pedagogical model called I do, we do, you do. So the teacher does it, it models it, then does it in collaboration with the students, and then the students take over and do it for themselves. And that's literally what you do with AI. You go, look, this is the type of answer I want. This is how I want you to present it to me. This is the tone I want you to have. Now have a try of it, and then when you've trained it a bit and you're getting the results you want, then you can trust it and get it to produce those resources for you. So teachers have already got these skills. It's
confidence, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Confidence and fear. I think it's overcoming that fear, bridging that fear gap, isn't it? And
and also it's I suppose they're in this environment where they're feeding off the students or whoever it is that they're training or teaching or educating, and then all of a sudden you're working with a digital thought partner ultimately, which is something we've talked about with ChatGPT a lot, and having to word it into text, which I guess is a skill in itself, isn't it? Is converting that conversation into something that they're writing about and asking for.
Absolutely. And literacy skills are so important now. And it worries me because the education system kind of, especially in England, focuses so much on literacy and maths and goes, right, well, these are our priorities, and for very good reason. But actually, I mean, 2 years ago or last year, a third of UK students failed their GCSEs when it came to maths and English. So even though we say it's our priority and it's what we're good at, we're not really. And it really worries me because these tools, you can become a creator now. You can offer value. You can generate some amazing content, not by having the technical skills like coding, being able to paint with a brush and so on. I mean, still skills that are going to be needed, but people like us, when I say the democratization of creativity, are going to be able to do this. We're going to, if we're talking about MidJourney, we're going to be able to create photography like a photographer would. We're going to be, I mean, there's loads of questions about the authenticity of all of that, but the reality is I can go into MidJourney and within a few seconds create a professional photograph that could literally go and win an international photography competition, which, by the way, people have done. So
just blows your mind, though, doesn't it? Just thinking about even 2 years ago or 18 months ago, and but like you said, anyone can. I love the term what did you say? Democratization of of creativity. Like anyone can be creative, but I think the keys to it is that the nuggets is understanding the how to do it. So what I liked when you talk about MidJourney is the prompting is slightly different to what it is on GPT. So the /imagine prompt, for example, that you talk about, that's how you get MidJourney to start imagining what the graphic or the picture that you're talking about. And I think once people understand little nuggets and little skills like that, that's how you use MidJourney. That's how you use GPT. That's how this is what Bard does, which is slightly different. It's people bringing together that jigsaw really to understand this is why I would go to those different AI services for that different piece.
Yeah,
and I think that's the key to it, is giving people those tools, isn't it?
Yeah, and the issue is, especially for someone like me who this is my living and I go around teaching teachers how to do this, is it's very transient as well. So like, for example, the slash in MidJourney or on Discord to get the MidJourney bot up and running, and so you can ask it something, you put /imagine, and it's almost like a command to get the bot awake. That's that'll be irrelevant in a few months' time. MidJourney
Yeah.
are just about to release their own platform, so they won't be on Discord anymore. So that video
it's
I've
going to
just
change
released,
so quickly, isn't
Yeah.
it?
And that's, we're talking about that a lot. The ability to
Mm.
be okay with learning something that's then not going to mean anything a month down the line, and
yeah.
it's being all right with that. We're gonna start coming in now, Dan. It's been really helpful listening to your thoughts and another great conversation. But it'd be really useful to think if there was a piece of advice that you could give to people, or like a practical tip to do following on from watching this podcast. What would that be? What could be something just straightforward, something practical that people can take away from this today?
I think, do you want me to focus on MidJourney for this? So
Sure.
Yeah, and if you've got a couple of thoughts, that's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
But maybe think about, if people want to get into MidJourney, what would kind of your toolkit or your tips be?
I think, I mean, normally with something like ChatGPT, I just say, right, go log in and have a go of it and see what works. And you very quickly get used to a tool like that, because you ask it a question and it talks back to you. And then you go, that's not exactly how I wanted the answer to be. So you adapt your question, and you very quickly realize that the quality of the input dictates the quality of the output. And then you can maybe go to, shameless plug, my book, The AI Classroom, and look at the prep model and get ideas and frameworks for all of that.
Yeah.
For MidJourney, it's a bit more difficult because, like you say, in the hurdles you had, you need to create a Discord account, you need to create a MidJourney account, you then need to connect the bot. It sounds complicated, but it's I think like you said earlier as well, it takes about 5 minutes. And once you've done that, it's everything else is plain sailing. It's literally just as easy as ChatGPT. You write a prompt and you get an image back. Again, I'm another shameless plug, but watch the video.
Go for it, Dan. Go for it, because it's a bloody good video.
Thank you. But like I could say, right, go to Discord, do this, but just go watch the video where I've already laid it out.
Yeah.
If you don't want to pay, which is completely understandable, especially if you're new to this technology, and you don't know if you're going to get the value out of it that's worth your money, simply go to Dolly, so DALL-E, and it'll take you to the OpenAI website, which is the same company that creates ChatGPT. They've got an image generator which you can use for free, and you don't have to worry about Discord or anything. It's not as powerful as MidJourney, but you'll pick it up. Also, if you're using Canva, the design tool, which I know a lot of people are these days, if you click the tool icon in Canva, top left hand corner of your screen will be the text to image, and you can use Canva's own text to image, just to give you an idea about what the technology is, what it does, what it creates. They're not as powerful as MidJourney. If you want the kind of images that are photorealistic, amazing quality that you see around, that are fooling quite a few people at the minute as well, and quite a few news agencies, then you want to get yourself on MidJourney. But Canva,
the Donald Trump arrest one is the classic, and the Pope in the puffy jacket's the other one, isn't it? That people were like, is this real? Is this not real? What does this mean?
I use those two in my presentation. In fact, I was in Florida, which is quite a conservative state. And I put that image of Trump being arrested on the screen, and I immediately knew I'd made a mistake. I was like, oh no.
Did you get the rolling hay bale go across in terms of the
Well,
quietness?
I just looked at the audience, and I saw a few people go, ooh.
Yeah,
like
complete
that, and I was like, oh
Republican.
no.
Yeah, we live and learn.
So
Brilliant.
Check it out, and just start playing with it. Have a go of it. I know not everyone can do that. People are bogged down. They've got time issues. They've got workload issues, which teachers do. But if you've got a spare half an hour, especially over the summer holidays, just have a play with it, because even though it takes a bit of like anything new, it takes a bit of upfront investment in terms of time. With these tools, genuinely, and I've been in edtech for a while, unlike any other tool I've ever come across, these tools will definitely save you time in the long term if you're using them correctly.
Brilliant. Thanks so much, Dan. That's really helpful.
Brilliant, Dan. How
you.
can people get hold of you, connect with you, contact you if they want to learn more?
So my website is theaieducator.io, and links and ways to contact me are all through there. I'm also quite active on LinkedIn and Twitter, or X as it's now known. So on X, I'm the AI Educator X, and LinkedIn, the AI Educator.
Brilliant.
Thanks, Dan.
Dan, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. We'll all be getting into our MidJourney accounts now and making weird and wonderful images, which we don't really know what the impact's going to be, but this stuff's going to keep unrolling, I think, as we go, changing literally, like you said, day by day, week by week. So
Absolutely, yeah. I should mention the book.
Go for it.
I'm useless at self promotion. The book, yeah, best-selling book. It was back at number 1 the other day.
Amazing.
The AI Classroom. It's about 400 pages long, jam-packed full of frameworks, where this technology is coming from, where it's going, what a teacher looks like using AI, what a leader looks like.
Nice.
We called it the ultimate guide because right now it kind of covers the gambit for getting started and rolling with AI.
Yeah, and where do people find that? Is that an Amazon job or?
Get on Amazon, you'll find it really easily. It's called the AI Classroom.
The AI Classroom. Brilliant, Dan. Thank you so much for your time. Again, I don't know what you think, Hayley, but it's just great to learn from people who are real thought leaders and early adopters in this space. And just those practical nuggets are just so important for people, aren't they? Just to share that info.
Thank you. And
great.
It's great to just spend some time with your enthusiasm as well. It's been fantastic. It's set me up for the day now.
There you go.
We're never short on that.
No, absolutely. Brilliant. Right.
Thanks
so much, everybody. Take care. Cheers. Bye-bye.